Hi everyone, I'm Cole.
And I'm Taylor, and today is our second episode in our mini-series about film. Okay, let me cut that. And I'm Taylor, and welcome back to Deep Cut. This is our second episode in our mini-series about film. Today, we have a guest calling in who will give her perspective over today's topic.
Hey everyone, my name is Tara, and I'm an actress.
And today we'll be discussing with Tara representation in Hollywood as it pertains to the Black and Latinx community. We watched some films and we want to talk about them as a base point. Today's films are Queen and Slim and The Help. We watched both of these films as a starting point for our discussion, but we'll also be touching on TV shows like Watchmen and Lovecraft Country.
And let's start by briefly discussing these films, Queen and Slim and The Help. Now, let me summarize. Should we start with Queen and Slim or The Help?
We can start with Queen and Slim.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, let's discuss briefly the plot for Queen and Slim. So, Queen and Slim, I honestly had a hard time summarizing the movie myself. I feel like a lot of things happen. So, Amazon summarizes Queen and Slim as, on a first date, a Black man and woman are arrested for a minor traffic offense. The situation takes a turn when the man accidentally kills the police officer.
Well, I think just going off of that already, it's not an accident that he kills the police officer. I think Amazon kind of missed on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, he killed him on purpose because the cop was going really, really overboard, and he shot at his date.
Yeah.
And he lane changed and asked if they could hurry up because it was cold. And that's why they started getting shot at. It's not an accident.
Yeah, no, it wasn't an accident, but it definitely was
accident,
self-defense. I feel like that police officer would have killed him 100% if...
Yeah, I feel like it was self-defense because the situation was just escalating so quickly.
Yes, exactly.
For no reason.
No, I fully agree. I don't think there was a way out of that besides what he did.
Now, going into the actors and characters, or do you want to still talk about the plot? Cool.
No, I mean, that's pretty much all for the plot.
We could talk some more plot.
Because you said you had some things you wanted to say about it, but
Yeah, I have some questions about the plot, or just thoughts about the plot. Here.
Why don't you re-say I have some questions about the plot?
Yeah. So I have some questions about the plot. Like whenever they're on the run and going to New Orleans, they spend the last of their money on those burgers with that little boy and his dad that they have to take to the hospital, right? And they spend all that money, or they spend the last of their money, and then they go and try to hold up a gas station, and that, he lets the guy hold the gun. I thought that was kind of a silly plot point. I'm sorry, I got to call it time out.
You said that, what about the gun?
Like that he let the gas station attendant hold that Glock whenever they were, so he would pay for his gas. How did they get to New Orleans from that? Like, one tank of gas isn't getting you to New Orleans from pretty much, they were in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, they're in Kentucky.
It was an immediate question for me in the movie. I thought, I just didn't get it. I was like, how did they do that?
Okay, first of all, for Queen and Slim, I feel like that movie had a lot of issues with the plot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a lot of questions as well. There's definitely a lot of plot holes from what you just said to the fact that, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, to the part where that little boy basically gets killed by the police, if I remember correctly.
Well, he kills the cop first, and then he gets killed.
Exactly, he shoots the police. And a lot of people had the same questions, like, why did that have to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I just had the question about the scene, why did they have to mix in, this extremely serious riot with, the content of the boy killing that man? And,
I kind of figured
and
he
the
would
sex
do that.
scene mixed together. I found that kind of distasteful, to be honest with you.
Honestly, okay, so I watched an interview where Lena Waithe, I believe I'm saying her name correctly. She talked about how when she wrote that scene, how it's supposed to be a parallel of two different types of passion and rage. how so like when they were protesting, that's like people fighting for their lives, and the sex scene was supposed to be the same amount of passion. I guess she just thought it was a nice parallel. And she was also talking about how she never really sees black love authentically shown on film,
Mm-hmm.
and she just wanted to emulate that. So she felt like it was like the perfect time to have. I liked that parallel. I liked the way it was shown on film. Although like the things that occurred during the protests were questionable as far as plot, I liked seeing that
I
personally.
mean, in broad strokes, like I really enjoyed where the movie went and what they were trying to do with it. It was just other little things like how I said the gas station attendant, or like whenever they stop and ride the horses. It's like, what,
Mm-hmm.
you are on the run for your lives. You're federal fugitives and you're
See,
stopping and trespassing.
I mean, it's because, like, what do you have to lose? Like, you're
Yeah.
on the run for your life. You know what I'm saying? It's like you definitely could die. So I feel like that was, like, things like that were just them, Queen and Slim, them making a point to enjoy the time they
Mm-hmm.
have left. I feel like it was kind of like they knew that it could go either ways. I mean, more than likely, they knew it would go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they can't be on the run forever.
Right. Like,
So it's like I felt like they were just trying to enjoy the time that they had with each other.
right. Like 100%. They pretty much knew that they didn't have much of a shot at pulling this off.
Mm.
Like going from Ohio to Cuba in under a week as federal fugitives is a pretty insane task to try to accomplish.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, it completely is.
So it's like I'm sure they knew. So the little life they had left, they just wanted to enjoy, especially with each other. And I thought that was beautiful
No,
Mm-hmm.
as
I
a
agree
point
with
in the
that.
film.
Oh, I mean, moving or going on to the characters, I really liked the development of both characters,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
both
yeah.
main characters. I
Mhm.
feel like there was a lot of growth from like who
Mhm.
they were in the diner at the beginning to who they were,
Mhm.
dying on the tarmac at the end.
Yeah, no. I just felt like they're very complex characters. They were very dynamic. I feel like they had I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but stereotypically black people are, like how her uncle was, he was kind of a stereotype, like a pimp, and he had all these girls
Mhm.
around him, but yet Queen and Slim, they were like soft, they were pretty gentle, like they didn't yell at each other really, they didn't like curse at each other. And
Mhm.
I think that them, riding on the horses and having
Mhm.
having sex, like I feel like that, especially the sex scene, I feel like that was just very, like what you said, passionate. I felt like it was also very loving. Give me a second. My headphones. And I feel like it was very loving. Like sometimes black characters are seen as hypersexual, but yet in
Mhm.
that scene, you could tell that they loved each other and then they held hands afterwards. And I just thought that that was very well done. They were just very, I don't know, I don't want to say human, but I just feel like sometimes
No,
they
human,
weren't,
because a lot of times Hollywood portrays black people as like caricatures.
yeah.
So, especially with the hypersexuality
Mm-hmm.
of black women. And I think that's what my favorite thing was about Queen and Slim, how they were gentle. On top of that, they were dark skinned. And dark
Yeah.
skinned men and women, especially women, are not often seen as gentle. They're seen as stern. I mean, there's so many examples of that, which we'll talk about
Mm-hmm.
later. Like,
I mean,
so many examples of dark skinned women just being seen as aggressive and masculine and stern.
Mm-hmm.
But Queen, she was a lawyer and she was firm, but she was also gentle and smart and soft. So I think that's one of my favorite things was about the movie, the way they portrayed black
Yeah.
people as real and their experiences as real.
And then
I
also
honestly
like the
felt
difference. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I honestly felt bad for him at the beginning, like, before they were getting shot
Mhm.
at or before they got shot
Mm-hmm.
at, and he's on this date and she's like, "Yep, just wanted somebody to talk to." I was like, "Man, he's just such a nice
Yeah, she was
guy."
not feeling him at first.
She,
Yeah.
yeah,
She was
I
not
felt so
feeling him
bad
at
for the
first at
guy.
all. But then obviously they grew into this like beautiful
Mm-hmm.
couple
I feel like a big part
who
of it,
basically would die for each other at the end of the day,
Yeah.
which I thought was amazing.
I thought a really big part of it was like that they grew to love each other, because like how he was talking in the car about that there's all these different definitions of why babies show up, and I feel like it's like, oh, one of them was kind of like that you're forced to like be there together, and that kind of hit for me because like they were forced to be together by the situation. They wouldn't have seen each other again if it wasn't for, you know, this insane situation that, I mean, it's more common than it should be, but it doesn't happen to everybody that, you know, you get shot at and have to go on the run, and they were forced to be together. And I thought, but they ended up loving each other anyways. And I thought like that resonated with me.
I like that one part. This may be a little off, but I like that part where they stop somewhere and he asks her to go dance with him, and
I loved that part.
I liked that too.
And she like doesn't want to at first, but then she agrees. But I thought that was I liked the color in that part. Everything was red.
The lighting was amazing.
That's another thing. The movie, the cinematography, the color, like everything was just so beautiful. And I felt like that elevated the movie even more. And that specific dance scene, it's crazy because in that scene, where were they in that scene? I don't remember what city they were in.
They were in Georgia somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe in Georgia.
I think they're in Georgia.
It's like everybody there knew they knew exactly who they were, and they still let them be safe and dance. And I feel like that was amazing because it was like a bar, pub type of thing with a bunch of black people with, I think it was jazz music playing, and I feel like you can see their relationship blossom.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that.
And then they do this thing where there's like a voiceover in that part leading into the next scene. I think she's talking about love or something, and it's just really pretty. You really get to see their relationship grow, and you really get to see like an embodiment of black love during that part.
That was actually the one part that the like they're looking and the dialogue doesn't match what they're doing on screen, where that actually hit for me was whenever they were talking about like what they wanted out of love, like what love meant to them, what they wanted in a like in a partner. That like they used it differently in other, like they used it a couple other times and I didn't like it as much, but that scene it definitely did hit like correctly emotionally as the director wanted it to be.
Okay. Do you think we should go on to The Help?
Yes, I do, because we've been talking about Queen and Slim for 15 minutes.
Okay. All right.
And that was how much time we were supposed to have on this segment anyways.
Okay. So, who wants to introduce The Help?
Okay. I can do that, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry. The Help, it takes place in Mississippi during the 60s, and it's about a white woman portrayed by Emma Stone who is looking to become a writer. She just recently graduated journalism school, and she's interviewing black maids in her community about their lives and basically their experiences spending their time catering to these super rich white families in the South.
Mm-hmm. Wait, do you want to like introduce that? Say like moving on from Queen and Slim.
Oh yeah, I can. My bad. Sorry, I was just going off my script.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay. So moving on to our second film, The Help. This film takes place in Mississippi during the 60s, the Civil Rights era, and it's about a white woman portrayed by Emma Stone who wants to become a writer, and she interviews black maids from different households throughout the community who've spent a large amount of their time catering to these families.
Basically all of their time.
Yeah, all their time, like all their free time. It's pretty much slavery still. It's pretty a lot of them it is. Like
I wouldn't say slavery because
it's indentured servitude.
Voluntarily. Exactly.
It's
something
voluntarily,
like that,
but they don't. I mean, it's kind of like, like.
See, that's the thing about The Help, and that's why every the black community does not like The Help. That's why I do not like The Help, because that's why even Viola Davis herself wishes she did not do The Help, because of the way they portrayed black women as if there's nothing more to their life than taking care of these white people, and that's what they live to do. Like at the end when Viola Davis cries, when she leaves the family, I felt like that's just really weird and backwards. It's because like Black women are supposed to be thriving, but yet here they are taking care of these white children better than their parents are, teaching their white children how to be confident and brave better than their parents are. And that's not something that we should glamorize, because it's not like we want to do those things. It's like we had to do those things in order to make money because of so many different other economic and social things.
Right, 100%. I really, really hated the main villain of The Help, though, too. The Hilly, that white lady. I hate.
Was that Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yes, I hate that actress. I hated her character. I hate everything about her.
Why?
Bryce Dallas Howard is one of the biggest benefactors of nepotism in Hollywood. Her dad's a great director and was a great actor, and she got all these opportunities. She's
what
not
is
good.
Nepotism, where you can just use what your
It's like, it's like your family. It's basically your family connected you to a position that you are not qualified to hold.
She's a great actor, though.
She doesn't do it for me. She doesn't do it for me.
I think she did great in The Help.
I mean, it's. You ever see 50-50 with like Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt? She's his girlfriend that cheats on him when he finds out he has cancer. In that one.
Is that why you hate her? Or,
no,
I mean,
I don't.
partly?
I don't like her. I don't like her because she gets
nepotism.
she has received roles because of her father. That's why I don't like her.
Well, isn't that the point of like, why would you not want to receive? If I could receive roles because of my father, then I would. Isn't that like the point of?
I mean, I know it is,
your
but
family being connected.
Isn't there somebody who is probably more talented that isn't getting as good of a look because, she got the spot filled initially?
Happen.
It's still a big problem in Hollywood. I know this is super off topic, but sorry.
No, I actually we can talk about that because that may be true. Because I mean, either way, white people take away roles from Black people all the time. So you know what? Sidetrack. That's a sidetrack.
Yeah, we're super sidetracked right now.
Now, moving into characters within The Help, I felt as though some characters, not some, a lot of them were stereotypes. And I felt as though Minnie was a stereotype. She was like a sassy Black woman. And I think that Aibileen was stereotyped to be like a grandma, like a caring kind.
Like the manly type of character.
And I just didn't think that there was any dimension within these characters. I didn't feel like they were humanized enough. And I just feel like that's very different than Queen and Slim. As I said earlier, they're very complex, and I felt like The Help, they were just very one-dimensional. There weren't much substance behind them.
Right, like the movie is about The Help, and like the character's The Help, and the main character is, Emma Stone, one of the most popular white actresses like of the modern era. And like, she's pretty basic.
I just don't get it, but okay.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But she was 100% like a white savior type stereotype in this movie. She was just like leading African Americans to the promised land.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like this movie capitalized off the white savior and the mammy stereotype, and Black women are, this way. Like you said, the movie is about The Help, and it was definitely told from the perspective of Emma Stone's character. Even Viola Davis said in an interview with Vanity Fair that she felt like at the end of the day, the voices of the maids weren't heard, and Minnie, who was played by Octavia Spencer, she says she knows people like that in real life. That's her grandma. That's her mother. And she said And she said, if you do a movie where the whole premise is The Help, then people want to know what it feels like to work for white people and to bring up children in 1963. And she feels as if the movie did not really grasp their perspective much. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and I definitely agree.
I mean, that's what a white savior film is.
Like,
they take the plight of people of color and turn it into, we're going to rescue you and pat ourselves on the back for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how this movie was so critically acclaimed. Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, they won all types of awards and
I
Oscars for
know,
it.
yeah.
And I feel like that just speaks to what Hollywood enjoys, like what light Hollywood enjoys seeing Black people in as the help when their stories are not really told, but they award them for it. So it's like, it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be a feel-good movie, but it's actively like a part of like, on-screen oppression of Black people.
And it's like for the white people watching, especially during this summer, I think The Help came to Netflix this summer, if I'm not wrong, or it might have been there before and they removed it, but it was on Netflix this summer, and Netflix highlighted it under the Black Stories films, especially during the time of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, where George Floyd was wrongfully murdered by the police and his death was not prosecuted, and as well as Breonna Taylor, it was unjust. The Help was highlighted under the Black Voices section on Netflix, and this is a horrible resource for white people who are trying to learn about racism, as if there's really anything to learn. I mean, let me just say, if you don't know about racism in America, then you're too privileged and you need to come out under your rock because it's everywhere. But anyways,
I saw
it's just a horrible example for people, and that's not what people should be looking to as far as like resources to learn about how Black people are treated in America.
No,
it's just
I
not
agree.
right.
I saw this article that was saying that The Help is one of those movies that white people look at and they think now, oh, thank God it's not like that now. And it's kind of one of those things that they're like, oh, okay, good thing we're not like that anymore. Like, and they kind of like pat themselves on the back that things are better now. And quite frankly, that's not the case.
I mean, it's like,
things are still pretty bad.
It's like open your eyes. Just because it looks different now doesn't mean it's not extremely similar to the way it always was.
Yeah.
Right.
And as you said, that movie won a ton of awards. Like, both Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis won, like, best performance. Like, one was for a supporting role, one was for a main role. And then The Help itself won the American Film Institute for Movie of the Year.
It won Best Picture at the Oscars as well.
Oh my God! Did it?
And it was even at the time, it was even acknowledged by the Black community, which I felt was interesting. It won a bunch of awards where Black people hosted. It won the Black Reel Awards. It got Best Original Score there, and I feel like that's so. It speaks to how it feels like Black people in Hollywood don't have a choice, because of course their performances were amazing, but it's like the roles that they have to take on that get them the recognition are not always in favor of who we are as Black people. So I feel like times have kind of changed. I mean, times have changed since 2011 when the movie came out, but I just thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah. And do you guys want to start talking about Black stereotypes?
Yeah. All right. We can segue to that.
Okay. Now, as you were saying, now let's talk about Black stereotypes in film. And there's the strong Black women trope in a lot of film and TV shows. And for example, have you seen Empire? Well, Cookie from Empire, she's an example of a strong Black woman.
Right, Taraji P. Henson.
So is Olivia Pope. Yes. So is Olivia Pope in Scandal, and honestly, countless others. And like you said, for The Help, women didn't know themselves. Wait, what?
Like the Black woman in The Help?
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and say that?
Yeah. So as far as stereotypes, like going back to The Help, like the Black woman in the film, it's as if they did not know themselves. Like their whole identity was centered around being like a maid. They were disrespected often. They put their own feelings and ambitions aside just to take care of white children. And that's kind of a stereotype. That goes back to the mammy stereotype. As far as like the Black strong woman stereotype, I feel like this one is problematic in its own interesting way because it was created for black women
Yeah, to like
by black
uplift
women.
you.
It was meant to uplift us, and it still does. But I feel like Hollywood has taken that and just turned it upside down to where it seems like black women are untouchable and emotionally rigid
And
and hard
cold.
all the time, and they
Yeah.
just can take beating after beating after beating and still get up, which is harmful because that affects the way people in real life treat black women. As you know, as you may not know, actually, black women have a higher risk of pregnancy failures, higher risk of death in hospitals because doctors don't believe them when
Yeah,
they
no,
say
I heard that
that
too.
I'm in pain or something is wrong because people think that black women are just so strong all the time. But no, we are also human beings. So that's crazy. In TV shows like Scandal, movies like Hidden Figures, Little Fires Everywhere with Kerry Washington, Olivia Pope, and her character in Little Fires Everywhere were just another strong black woman um stereotype. But we love Little Fires Everywhere and we loved Scandal as the thing. But I just think that the strong black woman stereotype can be harmful when it comes to real life because people don't know the difference between stories
Yeah.
I agree. I think
and real.
I,
No, I agree.
sorry. I think it's like it's good TV, like Scandal, Little Fires Everywhere, but it's not a three-dimensional picture of a real person like the film should portray. Like it's not just this woman's so strong she can go through all these tragedies and everything. Like she's a real person. Like she's gonna feel really bad sometimes.
Yeah. For example, like in Scandal, Olivia Pope is literally kidnapped. Her life is threatened on a constant basis. But even in the show, she is still expected to rise above and be this superhuman of a person, which is just not, I mean, it's a show, that's why it's good, but it's not realistic. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
of
How to Get Away
course.
with Murder, you know, that show is just a lot. Viola Davis's character, Annalise Keating, is expected to help people. She's supposed to help people receive justice while covering up several murders that the people around her have committed. The people who are supposed to be her students. Like she essentially has to babysit these people, and make sure they stay out of trouble. All at the same time, she's constantly being persecuted by being too mean, being too harsh. She drinks to take the edge off and she's persecuted for that. It's like with all this going on in her life with her husband being dead, if she drinks, that's people are still going to attack her. People attack her for not being this extremely strong superhuman, which I feel like is just I feel like that's a resemblance of what people feel as black women are in real life. People expect black women to be superheroes, you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
100%.
Because a lot of times, some people, and this kind of sounds crazy, but for some people, the only exposure they have to minorities or black people is what they see on TV and movies, and that's just really harmful to have that stereotype present. I mean, very commonly,
R-
Funny enough, for like the black community, it's normal to see these things because even though people can take it out of context, black women really are phenomenal. Like they are amazing. Like we grew up with people. A lot of black women are single mothers who get it done regardless. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you said, it's harmful to have it on TV.
Yeah.
And just another example, in Little Fires Everywhere, it was the exact same thing. In this story, it was interesting because Kerry Washington's character was being constantly like persecuted by a white woman who was played by Reese Witherspoon. She was constantly being, barked at for being too strict with her child and not letting her child live. And Reese's character was, she then metaphorically adopts Carrie's child. She basically takes Carrie's child in, lets her come to her house when she lives in this big house. And Kerry Washington's character is like an artist who like rents a small house and they used to live in a car. But Reese, a white woman, felt it upon herself to then take Carrie's child, bring her into her house, feed her, and when retaliates in a way that makes sense. She's villainized by her own daughter because of
Mm-hmm.
what Reese's character, because of how Reese's character
Mm-hmm.
was treating her. And it's crazy because she had every right to be upset, but
I've never actually
that's
seen
just
that show.
It's on Hulu, right?
mm. It's on Hulu. Yeah, it's a really good show actually, but I felt like it was so relevant because it's so
Right.
real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the black woman stereotype in 2020 is that that you have to be, or that you are emotionally untouchable, and that like if you react like you are villainized or like gaslighted because of it, you get turned into the villain because
Hmm.
there's different expectations.
Yeah, and they're just expressing regular emotions, you know.
Emotions that are completely like necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if your husband was killed and you have to cover up murders. I would drink too. You know what
Right?
I'm
Mm-hmm.
Or
saying?
if somebody took my kid and didn't, like, I did not give them permission to, I would be pretty mad about it. Like, I would have a reaction to that. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, who do you think you are? That's my kid. Like, I get
Mm-hmm.
that.
Exactly.
What do you think about like how black men are portrayed in Hollywood today? Like in Watchmen, Beale Street Could Talk, like things like that.
So yeah, in Get Out, we know that Chris is the victim right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
There's racist tendencies in the house. As soon as he gets there, his girlfriend's dad is talking about he would have voted for Obama for a third
And then
time.
the
It's
brother.
little subtle, yeah, it's just things that we know that okay, this place is off. These people are white.
Yeah.
Chris is gonna be the victim. And if Beale Street could talk, Fonnie, who was played by Alonzo Hunt, he and his fiance, who was played by Kiki Lane, they are a couple who have been together for a long time. That their dreams are derailed. Of they have dreams of like living together and building a beautiful life together, but their dreams are derailed when he gets arrested for a crime he did not
Mm-hmm.
commit, and that happens. We know something is wrong as soon as the movie starts, and we have all these black women around him trying to save him and making sure that he's good. But at the end of the day, he is the victim. He does end up in jail. His fiance does get pregnant, and his son has to watch his dad grow up in jail. So it's like black men are for sure, as they are in real life, oftentimes they end up being the victim of unfortunate things,
Mm-hmm.
as we've seen like with George Floyd, which is one of the most current and popularized ones that has happened. But yeah, black men are seen as the victim while black women are not seen as the victim, even though they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go through hell to be even considered, to be felt to for anyone to even feel sorry for them. It's just the way they're different is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
It's interesting
why
to
is
me.
there such a divide between like the like men and women are portrayed? Like I think that's very interesting. Like why are they treated different? Like we're people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I think maybe for a long time, black men have just been fetishized by
Mm-hmm.
different races. White women, number one.
100%.
Black, I mean, sorry, white women, white men too. If you go back to slavery days, it's like their
Yeah.
bodies were fetishized. In Get Out, that's a good example of it,
Yeah.
as to how their bodies are fetishized because a white man takes over a black man's body so he could run faster,
Mm-hmm.
um, as seen by the garden help in Get Out. I think it just has a long history of like fetishization of black men, even with sports and things like that. And black women are not
They're almost
fetishized in the
left
same way,
behind
in
a
the
little
media at
bit.
least. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I
Okay.
have to say
You
about
can say
that.
the shift.
Yeah. What?
I can say the word.
The shift from that, like in Queen and Slim.
Oh, sorry, yeah. But this movies like Get Out and If Beale Street Could Talk contrast to how um they kind of contrast to how black men and women were portrayed in Queen and
Mm-hmm.
Slim. Queen and Slim was done by a black director,
Mm-hmm.
and so obviously their experiences are going to be more real
Yeah.
than if it was How to Get Away with Murder. Even though How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal were written by Shonda Rhimes, um, movies like Queen and Slim, Queen is a soft character. She's strong, but she's soft. So, like you said earlier, she's more complex. And we see that Slim is still, they're both victimized. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
Slim being the only one who is victimized. It's like they're in this together.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how Queen and Slim brings that
Yeah, I mean,
together.
hell, she was the
Mm-hmm.
one that got shot.
Yeah.
First, yeah, she died first. And I love how at the end that he basically voluntarily commits like suicide
Yeah.
for her, because usually it's the black woman
Who's like
doing all that
crying
stuff,
and
basically killing themselves for other
mm-hmm.
people, but he did it this time, and that really touched me.
Yeah. Another stereotype within films, I think, is black trauma, which we see in The Help.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, you see a lot of that in The
Yeah.
Help, actually.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, those are the types of films and types of TV shows that get critical acclaim by the Academy, which is mostly white people, by different awards, which is mostly white people. Like, we see movies like The Help, we see shows like, not Central Park 5, it's by Ava DuVernay. Came out on Netflix. Pause. Let me look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it honestly reminds me a lot of like how. Wait, shit. I'm sorry. I had the point and then it just out my head.
Sorry. Okay, I got it. We see shows like The Help being critically acclaimed, getting all these awards. When They See Us, which is about Central Park 5, got so many awards. And the thing is, like, these stories deserve these awards, but it's never anything other than black trauma getting awards.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see black movies, like anything done by Tyler Perry, even though I don't really like Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
But, anything that's not about slavery or people going through it, they don't get awards. So I feel like black trauma in Hollywood is definitely a
Capitalized.
stereotype. Like, if you make a movie, if you want it to gain recognition from the Academy Awards like that, it's going to be about black trauma. But I think there is starting to become a slight shift in that with movies like, with TV shows like Grownish.
Yeah.
With, even though Watchmen is a social type of show, that's getting a lot of recognition because they do have a lot of creative aspects to the storytelling, which is different than black trauma, where it's just, this is what happened and this is what happens. But Watchmen is creative. Shows like Lovecraft Country, extremely creative.
Yeah.
It's not just about how black people are treated in a certain area. It's, I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah, I still gotta watch
a
that.
lot.
Don't spoil.
So,
No
yeah.
spoilers.
That's a good show.
No spoilers.
Should we go into
where
the Latinx stereotypes?
Okay, wait.
Now, there's...
Oh wait, should we talk about the white villainization in Watchmen, or like in shows? And let me say that point real quick because I think that was a part of the title.
Yeah. Oh, well, we didn't
And
say
I
that in
also-
the beginning.
Did we?
No, we didn't. We just said the black representation and...
Oh, okay. I don't have to say it if you
No,
want to.
if you want to, we should.
I'm gonna just say like 3 things. On
Okay.
it. Another thing, like, I would like to point out in all of these movies, like Get Out, Lovecraft Country, Watchmen, TV shows like that, I don't feel sorry for white actors. I was about to say I do, but I don't.
That's funny.
It's because now it's shifted from the black people always being the criminal to the white people being the criminals. They're the ones playing the heavy. They're the ones who are to blame and being the villains of the TV show. Like in Watchmen, we see that there's a bunch of angry white people all the time, and they're the bad ones that Regina King is trying to save people from. In Lovecraft Country, they're always running away from white people. Before, it was white people always running away from black people, and I love to see it because that's what it has been historically. Like, white people, and I make a generalization, but white people have been the villains of America, period, ever since Native Americans. Yeah. So I like that shift. I don't feel sorry for white actors. I don't.
Well, I think it's nice that like actors are finally portraying real dynamics, like things that actually happened, like, or issues that are actually real. It's not like how often really is like a white guy just going through a neighborhood or like in a situation where he's just getting chased by a mob of black guys, like when does that really happen? Because it doesn't, except for in TV.
It doesn't. Not really. It really does not happen that often. Yeah, I was gonna say something else, but I forgot.
Oh, I mean, well, here's a stereotype. How about the black guy in the horror movie dies first? Like that's like number one, like one of the biggest stereotypes I can even think of is that like, oh, like he doesn't matter, he's gonna die first. Like,
yeah, that is so.
Like that was such like a trope.
Thank God we don't see that anymore.
I'm glad we moved away from that.
Now black people are leading them.
I feel like in movies though, I saw this movie and it was like, I don't know what movie it was, but the black man in the movie was like, I don't want to die first, like in all those other movies and stuff like that. I feel like now they're kind of, it's like a parody. They're kind of poking fun of it.
Yeah.
Poking fun at it.
They call it out all the time now. They're like, hey, that was really dumb. They recognize
that was done. Yeah.
Cole, seeing that you are a white man, do you think it's deserved that like white men and white people in TV shows and movies are often the villains these days, depending on what
yeah, we should be the villains more often at the very least, like, or than it used to be. I don't have any problem with seeing people that look like me who have, like, a lot of white guys did that shit. I mean, I didn't personally do it, but I don't have any problem with like seeing justice and true representation on the screen. No.
Mm-hmm. Now going more into stereotypes, there are a lot of Latinx stereotypes within film as well. And one stereotype in particular I want to talk about among the many is like the feisty Latina woman, like in Modern Family.
Right.
And I feel like Latina women are always played as some kind of sexy firecracker. And they always have big boobs and they always have big lips and a nice body and they always show it off. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, go women, like, show your body if you're proud of it. But in my opinion, I feel like having that on the screen all the time has people... let me read this off. While there's nothing wrong with women being proud of themselves, it seems like Latina women are always playing this role, and this causes people to characterize all, Latina women like this. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard like, oh, Latina women, they're hard to deal with, or they're a lot of work, or, are you...
Wait, stop. Can I reset my camera?
Or they're like, your Latina women are feisty, and... I don't know. That's just it's so old.
Yeah, it's just unfair. Like, it's a generalization.
I feel like that's old.
Mm-hmm. And
it's crazy because I really don't see that much Latinx representation like anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, I've seen maybe maybe like 2 or 3 movies where a dark skin or in general any Latinx character was leading. I don't see much Latinx representation.
Like, at the very least, not involved. Like, if it is Latinx representation in Hollywood, most of the time it's like white passing Latinx. Like, you're...
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like, like you are ethnic and you are visibly ethnic. Like, it is like, across the street, maybe you kind of not sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's that one girl, she was in that show On My Block, and she was like a white girl who is white, but she's playing like a Hispanic character, and she was like speaking Spanish, and people roasted her so bad because her Spanish, I'm not good at Spanish, but everyone was like, her Spanish is horrible, and that show is about minorities and their street. Like, everyone was a minority except for her, and that was just kind of funny because the next season they took her off and they replaced her with an actual like Hispanic person.
I hope they fired the casting director as well because that wasn't very smart.
Yeah. That show's on Netflix.
Yeah,
right?
that show's on Netflix.
Netflix always has a problem.
Yeah, they do.
Just like they only be hiring light skins to play literally
Oh,
every
my
single
battery's
black
flashing.
female character.
Just, I don't have much time. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to interrupt, but let's try to wrap it up if we can and get all the footage.
Let's go through this. Yeah.
Another stereotype I see pretty often is, Latinx people being helpless. So like a poor immigrant. I don't know if you guys have seen Knives Out or like Made in Manhattan.
Knives Out was great.
But Knives Out. So both of those stereotype a man and a woman. So like in Knives Out, the woman is saved by this white man with tons of money, and he's like, oh, everyone makes fun of her because she's poor and her mom was like an immigrant. And I don't know, that's just really outdated, And then the trope that, oh, the maid is poor and her family's illegal immigrants and, she needs help, she needs saving, I don't know. And I just hate that just in movies, they always show that if you're an immigrant, you're poor. Automatically, you're just poor in America. And I don't think that's always the case, Not every immigrant is just here starving,
Especially like Hispanic or Latinx immigrants. It's always their gardeners, maids, cleaners. Like in Knives Out, she was like...
she's an in-home nurse. And her mom's an illegal immigrant, and they use it to hold it over her head like most of that movie. It's literally just to make the character weaker.
Yeah, of course. And I just feel like that's...
Wasn't that like the joke of Knives Out, that she's the one that like...
Yeah, she's the one who gets all the money because he puts her in the will.
Well, it's because she's actually a good person, most of all.
Yeah. And another stereotype is that, Hispanic people or Latinx people only speak Spanish. And that is very much not the case at all. I feel like, have you seen the movie The Sitter? It's like, it has Jonah Hill in it, and he babysits these kids, and one of the kids is adopted. I don't know where he's from, but he's I don't know, Latinx. And he only speaks Spanish the entire film. And I don't know, I feel like that's the butt of a lot of jokes. Like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, whenever they're inside of this, I don't want to go all into that, but I feel like if someone is only speaking Spanish in a film, they're often the butt of the joke. And I just feel like that's really annoying, Especially since people who speak Spanish almost always speak English as well.
Yeah, it's pretty common to be bilingual, like especially among original Spanish speakers. I feel like
Americans are the only ones who aren't bilingual, but they're the ones who make fun of everyone who is,
Yeah, like just making fun of someone because they're a little different than you.
Yeah, just because the way that they speak.
They don't speak English.
The way that they speak their English may be a little broken, or their accent.
I definitely feel like Latinx stories, Hispanic stories, I think y'all definitely need more representation.
Yeah, of course.
More people behind the camera, writing, all that good stuff, so we can actually hear y'all stories, and so we can actually see y'all stories in different light, and not just hear about like Latinx stories, but y'all need to be human. I feel like all this stuff is so dumb. Like all this representation, it's just like the world is diverse. So write stories about humans. Like it doesn't always have to be a black story or a white story. Although we do need black stories to be heard and some things to be taught. Yes, that's true. But I think overall, as we should have stories just about people in general.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Me too.
Just it's so.
And they need to be. It sucks that it has to be strategically, like, oh, maybe we should do a black person for this. Cause like, I don't know, it makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
But I would definitely love to see like Latinx people in stories about freaking
anything.
Like white people can make a movie about a dog being lost and it'll get 16 Oscars. So stupid. Like I've seen the dumbest movies like get Oscars just because the actresses are white and
good. A dog's purpose or a dog's journey.
Like what? Exactly.
What's that one movie with the dolphin?
Oh, there's movies about like Eat, Pray, Love and Blue Jasmine about a white woman trying to find herself.
Yeah.
And, those movies are annoying because it gets so much critical acclaim when their stories are not that interesting.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
And I feel like if white people can do that, people of color should be able to do the same thing, but better. Let's raise the bar and make it inclusive.
I just believe that everyone, like that every filmmaker should be trying to create the most three-dimensional characters and like proper diversity as possible.
Yes.
Like just represent people and make them seem like real people. I think that's one of the biggest things missing in Hollywood, like still to this day.
Yeah.
It's
they just need to give
And
them
I swear
real
it's not that hard.
characteristics, like real human characteristics. Like, I'm allergic to this. Like, it's always, you know, a stereotype, in my opinion. Like, most of the time, it's always a stereotype about what a person usually is. But that's just, like, not even the top layer of a person.
That's why you need the same representation. Like, if you're going to make a story about a Hispanic or Latinx person, then you need a Hispanic or Latinx person behind the camera. Or you need to be well educated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like another reason why studios do that is because they say that like people of color don't make as much money overseas, which is a lot of like film revenue. But I'm pretty sure that's been proven to be a lie. There's an audience for everyone.
I mean, doing the right thing should
we talked
outweigh
about that
the
in our
bottom
last
dollar.
Episode.
Sorry, I said that doing the right thing by your talent should outweigh the bottom dollar, to be honest with you.
Yes. Isn't Black Panther like the highest grossing movie? Yeah, like that thing was showing in China. You get what I'm saying? It's like there's audiences everywhere if you make a good story. Period.
We talked about that in our last episode, and in America, diversity, from what I read, said that it does really well in America, but overseas is where it has the problem. And like you said, maybe that is false, but I read that it was.
It still is not an excuse.
Yeah, of course it's not an excuse.
Things are centered around money.
That wraps up our episode today about Black representation in film and Latinx stereotypes within films. Thank you to our sources and have a nice day. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will explore the representation of LGBTQ characters in film. Thank you and have a nice day.